Well, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're here with myself, Alex McDonald, and the one and only Rosi. It's Plezter, isn't it? Plezter.
It is.
One and only Plezter, Rosi Plezter. She's one of the Psych-K facilitators in Australia.
Yeah.
So Rosi, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Alex. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So happy as well. So how about we start by you just introducing yourself a little bit and
Sure. So, yeah, as you said, my name's Rosi. I've been in the Psych-K world, if you like, for about 6-7 years now, and have been lucky enough to be giving the basic workshops over the last 2 and a bit years. Off to do my, hopefully, certified advanced training in July. So I'll be able to offer the advanced workshops as well.
Awesome.
I've got a good, big, broad background in health and well-being. Love all aspects of life, really. Got a really strong bent towards spirituality and self-realization, and just really getting to know ourselves as the divine beings we are, having human experience. Yeah. So they're my passions and my interests, if you like. Yeah.
Amazing. I think I met you when I was doing my advanced health and well-being training. About a year and a half ago now. So time has really flown.
It has. I can't believe it's only been that long. It feels like I've known you for so much longer.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I think the credibility in somebody and what they teach actually comes through in how they hold their space in those workshops that they deliver. So from my experience, I've been to about 7 or 8 of Rosi's basic workshops, and I come away feeling absolutely inspired and in awe every time. And you've only been doing it for 2 years now, haven't you?
Yep, that's right.
Onwards and upwards for you.
Yeah, and you. Wow, watch this space.
I'll follow in your footsteps for sure.
Pretty exciting. And you're facilitating a lot more of the private sessions now as well, Alex, that you have been over the last couple of years now?
Yes. Professionally for about 1.5 years now, personally for nearly 3 years. So the results that I've had with my family and my friends have just been so profound, and I'm just super grateful to be in this space and working with people and helping them shift their limitations and blockages to live a truly fulfilled and successful life.
Yeah, and it's in every area, isn't it? I mean, I know with the workshops and in private sessions, there's people from all walks of life. It's like non-denominational. It's people from different ages and just different
religions, cultures, everything, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It really is for everybody.
Yeah. And all jump in for different reasons, really, for some aspect of life that they're wanting to change beliefs around.
Beautiful. So great. Can you tell us a little bit more about what this new science is, and maybe what beliefs are and mindsets, and how people can actually experience that?
Yeah, sure. I think pretty much, so many people talking now about how we perceive our existence is how we're creating it rather than the other way around. I think for a long time we've kind of thought of ourselves of almost the victim of life, if you like, and now we're figuring out that actually it's our mindset and belief systems that are really creating such a powerful influence on the printout of our lives. So our beliefs affect our biology, they affect how we perceive everything around us, and it's just such a fundamental truth now that it's becoming really important that we figure out ways to change that or empower ourselves to know that we have got the ability to change the outdated beliefs that we might have that are limiting us in different areas of our life to beliefs that are really supporting us in every aspect of our life, so that we can actually really move forwards consciously in our life and in the journey of our life.
And when you say the printout of your life, you're referring to just how our life unfolds before our eyes?
Yeah, absolutely. How we perceive things is totally different. I can have the same situation and ask 5 different people what their experience of that situation is, and I'll get a different answer from every person. And it's really so liberating to see that we can, just by changing our perspective of the situation, it can totally change how we experience that. So that's the printout I'm talking about, is actually that experience of the moment that we're living. And we've got the power to really change that and pay it forward in a big way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, Rosie, the new science really is, I like to use an analogy.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but I really enjoy watching movies. I find it very interesting when people watch movies, how we can sit there and movies invoke all these emotions and thoughts and feelings inside of us. And sometimes we can sit there and we can get really angry or really anxious while we're watching this movie, but there's not much we can do while we're just watching it on the screen. I don't know about you. If I'm ever watching something on the screen and I don't like what I'm watching, I either walk away or I turn the movie off or I fast forward it.
Yes.
I'm unable to change it on the screen. Whereas if what we're doing there, though, is we're actually changing what is being projected onto that screen. So if we think of the screen as our life and the projector as our mind, what the new science is really telling us is that the mind is the one that projects our life onto that screen, or projects our experience of our life onto that screen. So if we really want to change what's happening on the screen or our life, then we need to change what's being projected, which is changing what our mindset is, which is controlled by our beliefs. Would you agree with that sort of analogy?
100% agree. Yeah, and if you want to look at the movie of your life, it's going to tell you where you might be having limiting beliefs, because you're likely to be having repetitive patterns or roadblocks showing up. And that's a really good indicator that, hey, they're the areas that you might actually be having a mindset that's limiting you, or creating that same movie that you keep on wanting to fast forward or just run out of the room from. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Put a Disney movie on.
Yeah, that's right. Change the movie. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all, well, not all of us, I think a lot of us kind of enter into finding out what Psych-K is about, because we're sick of looking at the same movie that we're not actually enjoying that much. So we start looking at how we can change that, and Googling how do we change the mind or reprogram the subconscious, and up pops this funny word, Psych-K.
Yeah.
So at least that's what's happened for me. Yeah.
We really are. We really do have the power to be the directors of our own life, don't we?
Yeah,
The directors
absolutely.
of our own movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and what a liberating knowledge that is. It's so empowering to realize that we have that ability. Yeah.
Yeah. I love what you said earlier about being a victim. So we no longer need to believe that we're a victim of our circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. We can let go of the story and create a new one. Yeah.
How do some of these roadblocks that you mentioned manifest or show up in people's lives, or our own lives as well?
Yeah, so beliefs, how do we, I often get asked, how do we gain those beliefs in the first place? And again, the new science is showing that it's even as early as in utero and generationally we accrue beliefs, and then we continue to download perspectives and beliefs in the first 7 years of our life, when we're in a different brainwave state. We're in a very hypnagogic brainwave state, so we kind of are hypnotized into believing things around us. And that's because we need to take on a lot of data very quickly, just to learn, to grow, to fit in, to be accepted, because that's survival when we're highly dependent. So it's a necessary function that we have that in those formative years, but it also means that we don't have a conscious filter, and we don't really question what we're being told is real. We're just taking it on. Add to the mix that we're putting our own perceptual filter on that. So our parents or our caregivers could be presenting us knowledge as what they're perceiving it to be, and we could be taking it in a totally different way. So there's all this conglomeration of stuff that allows us to have this belief set that governs pretty much the rest of our life. The other way we can get beliefs is through repetition. We all learn how to drive a car. At first it's really hard and clunky and there's a lot happening, but after a while it becomes habitual, and that repetition creates that habitual way of doing things. And that the subconscious mind is a habitual mind, and this is a storehouse for most of our beliefs. Add to that 5% of our consciousness is subconscious. So we're operating 95% of the time, we are operating from these habitual beliefs.
So for those who don't really understand, what is the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind?
Yeah, conscious mind is our volitional mind. You know, it's kind of, I kind of call it the playground mind, because we can think of what we might want to do, so we can goal set, think of what we'd like to achieve, and while we're off doing that, our conscious mind is off in the future, goal setting. Our subconscious mind is running the show in the present moment. Yeah. So our conscious mind can also assess what's happened in the past. So it can be the judge mind as well. It can go, did I like how that was, or how that turned out, or would I like to change it in some way? So it's a really good looker at the past as well. So it actually the conscious mind spends most of its time in the past and the future. Very little time in the present moment. And while our conscious mind is off doing those two things, something's got to be running this show, and that's or the Rosi show, yeah. and that really is the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
With all its beliefs, perspectives, habits, it's really running on autopilot, and it's not thinking about what's the good thing to do or the bad thing to do. There is no judge at the subconscious level of mind. It just does what it does. So it's not doing something to have a go at the conscious Rosi. The subconscious mind's just rolling out what it knows how to do, the familiar.
Yeah, which is great, because I don't know about you, but I'd hate it if I had to remember to breathe every 2 seconds and remember that my heart has to beat and all of this. So.
Absolutely. And even driving home, you know, you can be thinking about what you're cooking for dinner, and your subconscious mind gets you to that driveway every time.
It's so powerful, isn't it?
Really is. Really.
I really like the language you use about setting goals and planning for our future and assessing our past. I think that something that a lot of us may get caught up in is worrying about our future and regretting our past.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the difference between the perspective and the way that we're actually viewing our life and our life experience.
Yeah.
Between the two, isn't there?
You know, I used to have this little narrator in my head before doing Psych-K that used to tell me off, you know. So it was the Rosi judge, you know, and I'd be thinking about the future, and I'd be thinking, oh, I've got to do it right, and I'd get a bit anxious, and I'd be looking at the past and think I should have done it better, and I'd have this negative language that I'd use to myself all the time. And it used to be a bit of a battleground, and it's just been so liberating to change my perspective on that talk, and really be an encourager of myself and have a curious mind rather than this judgmental hammering mind that I used to have going on. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if all we're thinking about is worrying and regret, then chances are that's what we're going to create more of for ourselves. If we don't know how to think anything else, we don't know how to create anything else. Is that sort of what you're trying to say? Yeah,
pretty much. You know, we can get caught in the same loop because it's so familiar and so habitual. We can be trying to achieve something new, but we kind of slip back into this default habitual mind. So it takes a lot of conscious willpower to change the subconscious. And that's because the subconscious mind has got a lot of processing speed. It's about 40 million bits per second processing speed. Conscious mind's only got 40 bits per second of roughly processing speed. So when you're trying to change something that's going that powerfully, running with that much processing speed, with this limited processing speed, it takes an awful lot of willpower and effort to create that change. If we can create that change at a subconscious level of mind with using the same amount of processing speed, it becomes a lot easier to turn that around or create something new. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've talked a lot about beliefs and about the subconscious mind and conscious mind. So what do we do if we actually want to create change and we're sick of the repetitive loop that we're stuck in?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. Well, for me, it was a really frustrating journey. You know, so I tried a lot of conscious mind modalities. I really tried affirmations, which are awesome. You know, everything I tried, I'm not saying anything negative against, because they all brought me to this point of wanting it a bit more simple and a bit more powerful and a bit more effective, which is really what Psych-K is. But you can do a lot of roads will lead to mindset change. There are a lot of modalities that can do that. As I mentioned before, repetition and affirmations will create a change. You just need to do them a lot. You need to repeat them until they become the new familiar, and that takes a lot of commitment and willpower. Yeah, and you can also use things like hypnotherapy, which is creating the same brain state that we were initially indoctrinated with our beliefs, that hypnagogic brainwave state. So you can use that same brainwave state in hypnotherapy to change beliefs, absolutely. Psych-K is beautiful because it is has got a beautiful permission and commitment protocol that we follow, which makes sure that it's safe to do what we're doing, that it's in our best interest to create the changes we're wanting to create. And it's very self-empowering because it is a do-with process, which means as we're learning it, and even when we're being facilitated with in a private session, we're doing it ourselves. The facilitator is doing it with us. So we're reclaiming the power of being the creator or the director of our lives. And that is just such a beautiful aspect of Psych-K. Yeah, very unique to Psych-K.
I really love that because it follows a philosophy that I have. That I don't want people to rely on me. I want to be able to free them so that then they can create that for themselves, and they don't have to continually come back to me or yourself as facilitators.
Absolutely.
To create that change for them. They then start doing it for themselves because they have that power that you spoke of.
And we're evolving all the time, so it makes sense to gain those skills, because then they can keep as things show up in life. You can continue to change as things show up that you're not so happy with. You can continue to then create those changes and just move those limits and empower yourself more and more in your own growth. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that because the only constant is impermanence. The only thing that we know is true is that everything changes. So
the only definite thing
we
is
need to be able to keep up with it, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, and be adaptable.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What does the K in Psych-K stand for?
Oh, another good question. The K stands for key. So it's the key to your psyche. A few people used to think it was kinesiology. It's not. We use muscle testing in Psych-K in a very specific way as a communication tool, so that we can communicate with the subconscious and find out what we might or might not believe at that level of mind.
Yes.
But the K stands for the key to your psyche.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And it is like that, it is. I think you and I have both noticed once we've learnt and become really competent with Psych-K, it is like getting the key to change, the key to your own change. It's amazing.
Yeah, as soon as you make that choice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Why did you get started, Rosie?
I got started, I hit an implosion point in my own life. I was in a pretty messy relationship, and it really had not an ideal outcome or end point. And I was pretty much at that point where I hit that line in the sand, and I kind of went, wow, this is where I need to really start helping myself make changes in my life, because I don't want to keep ending up here. So I kind of, felt like I was in a bit of a ditch and needed to haul myself out. Yeah. And there's a really good saying, ask for the teacher and the teacher appears. So I ended up on a cruise with Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden, and it was a 10-day cruise, and I was able to just immerse myself in their wisdom. And if you've seen Bruce Lipton on television or YouTube, he's just, as he is in person, he's even better. Just this beautiful, harmonious, joyful being that you just can't help but be inspired by. And I went up to him on about day 8 and said, what change? You talk a little bit about how you were before now. What created your change? How did you do this? Because I want a bit of that. And he just said to me, Rosie, that Psych-K is what I use, And 2 days after I landed off the boat, I was Googling Psych-K, and that weekend I was flying to Brisbane to attend my first Psych-K basic workshop. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time, but somehow I made it there, against all odds, really. And it was the start. That was just the start for me. Yeah. How about you, Alex? How did you end up, or how did Psych-K find you?
Well, it's funny you should say, because my experience is actually very similar to yours, and I would say it's very similar to a lot of people. Before I do get started on that, can we just tell the people who are watching who Bruce Lipton actually is?
Oh, sure. Good point.
We've spoken about the science and beliefs and biology and all this sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
People really need to know who Bruce Lipton is.
Yeah, they so do. He's, yeah, absolutely. And he's got a YouTube.
Talking about him.
Absolutely, it's gorgeous. There's a YouTube embedded in my website, the Biology of Belief website. You could just Google it. It's on YouTube. Yep. Bruce Lipton is a cell biologist. He was at Stanford University, and really he's known for his work about validating how beliefs affect our biology. And that's in a very, very simple nutshell. We
don't talk about spiritual beliefs. These are beliefs as I am powerful, I deserve to have a happy and loving life.
Yeah, they're really good points too. I want to live, I want to die.
Love my life.
I'm worthy of earning a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, this is in every aspect of your life. I can be healthy is another belief, you know. Yeah. Our society shapes also our beliefs. So we can just, the world is a friendly place is a belief. Yeah. So absolutely broad spectrum. Yeah.
Nice. So Bruce is talking about beliefs. He's the one that's...
Yeah, absolutely. Bruce really is the go-to if you really want to know more about how beliefs affect our biology. He's got another book called The Honeymoon Effect, which is another favorite of mine. It's really tells us how that if we're in fight or flight, that the cascading neurotransmitters and hormones that flood our physiology, our biology, are very definite to help us survive in those situations, and not so good for helping us become healthy and well and repair. So if we want to be in a really good, healthy, repairing program, we need to be in a state of almost honeymoon. You know, these positive feelings and beliefs cascade our body with a whole new set of things that are really like supportive for health, repair, optimal well-being. The Honeymoon Effect is another really good book to look out for too. But Bruce does a lot of talks on YouTube. He's very easy to get to know online. Yes. Yeah. And if you get to see him in person, then I would just highly endorse any event that you could get to.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see him live. He's back to your question about how did I get started. He's the reason why I actually got started. So I was in a similar position to you. I just had a massive shift in my life, and a few of my relationships had moved aside and made way for a new life for myself. And I've been traveling. I was just about to go back to work, and I'd been working remote northwest of Australia out in the middle of absolute nowhere. Sometimes 4 weeks at a time. I'm grateful for it, but I wasn't enjoying it at all. I wasn't happy in my life. I didn't have any direction or clarity or passion, other than all that I knew was that I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And I kind of asked for change, similar to you, and that's exactly what I got. I got change on steroids. So that weekend, or that night actually, after I asked for that, I was awoken to what I can only describe as a vision that opened my mind to the concept of wholeness and oneness.
Yeah.
So that connected me into what I call, my future self. And from there, I was watching Bruce's stuff on YouTube and fell in love with him there. And then I watched Rob Williams is the originator of Psych-K. I continued to watch him talking about how to change subconscious perceptions and beliefs. And the following weekend I was in Melbourne doing it. I was flat broke. I didn't have any money to do it. I had people pay for me to do the course. I had people give me spending money to go over there. I had 107,000 frequent flyer points, and it cost me 106,000. So there's just too many small little miracles adding up to not actually acknowledge the gift that was in front of me. So even when I was there, I had no idea of pursuing it professionally. It wasn't until on day 2 when Ian, the other Psych-K facilitator who I learned with, he said, you can be a facilitator, you can go and start a business. And I just felt my spirit just punch me in the guts and say, go and do that.
How awesome.
And I've been following ever since, meeting amazing people like yourself, which I'm just so grateful for.
Yeah, aren't we lucky? It really is. It's a blessing. Every time I think about it, it's a blessing.
Beautiful.
Incredible. Yeah, it really is. And we're all the same. We are all having this human journey, and I think most of us have this destination of wanting to live and experience a peaceful, joyful, meaningful life. And self-realization. We really want to know ourselves and become the best that we can be. I think it's a common human goal, in whatever wrapping it comes in. That's what we're all kind of after. And this just gives us as you said, what was that rocket launch, that fast forward way of doing it. Yeah.
And the amazing thing is even if you don't have that belief that I want to better myself, but you wish you did.
Yes.
You can cultivate that for yourself too, very easily.
Yeah. So good. It's so
beautiful.
Good. Can we talk a little bit about Rob too? Because we talked a little bit about Bruce Lipton, because he's so good at formulating and helping us understand what beliefs are and how they really drive our whole life. Rob is an amazing man. I'm just so blessed to have him originate Psych-K back in 1988.
How did it originate?
Well, he was a corporate guy first, and he was really successful in his corporate life. And then one day he kind of woke up and went, if this is what it's like to be happy, this is all the trappings that I'm meant to have to be happy, and I'm not happy. What's wrong? Yeah. I've got everything that society tells me I need to be happy, and I'm not.
Yeah.
And he realized he wanted to be doing something else with his life and making a big difference. So he really kind of did this about turn and went into more counseling role and studied a whole lot of stuff. If you read his book, which is the missing piece in your life, and it's spelled PEACE, gives you a really good background into that journey of Rob's. And he got to a point where he got really happy with what he was doing, but really frustrated with the time it was taking for people to create change in their lives. And in that frustration time, as often happens, birthed this new modality that he downloaded. And this is what Psych-K is. And it's really a way to fast track your own change. So he started facilitating the Psych-K with himself and some of the people that were seeing him, and noticed a lot more rapid growth and change. And then really got inundated and ended up creating the first Psych-K workshop that he taught to his clients at the time. And thank you. Yeah. And then he still got flooded with that, so he couldn't kind of keep up with the demands. So ended up training at that time two instructors. Yeah. And that was really how Psych-K as an international modality was birthed. And now there are almost 50 instructors around the world. Yeah. Yeah. And you can go anywhere around the world and get taught Psych-K the same. We're all taught to give the workshops the same, so which I find beautiful as well. There's no kind of one person doing it a little bit differently. We're all holding this beautiful unified intention of delivering the workshop in the same way, because that has an immense amount of power. It's almost like an energy field it creates in itself. So it's really nice to know that. Yeah.
It really maintains the integrity of the process as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And, that again, thank you, Rob, because he really is the holder for that space, and he does it amazingly well. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Because I think when he first started, it used to take 15 to 20 minutes to change just one belief, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And now it's 2 to 5. Yeah, and sometimes less. Yeah.
Why is that?
I think because the thought field of Psych-K is so strong that it's almost, when you enter that space, you've got this support crew behind you of everybody else that has done Psych-K. It's built up this intention in the field. So it's like that. I don't know if you've read about the 100th monkey. As more and more people do something, it becomes easier and easier for other people following to do that. And this is what Psych-K has generated. It's so many people have been facilitating their own change with Psych-K that now when people enter that zone, it's got this energy behind it. It's so much easier for people now doing it.
Yeah, beautiful. I think Rob uses beautiful language where he says that the more people that do the balancing and change their beliefs, they're uploading that into the
Yes.
consciousness. So we really are sharing. The more that
Yeah.
we actually do our own work and allow our own light to shine through, we are truly giving other people permission to do the same without them even knowing about
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
it. Amazing.
Pretty
I'm so glad.
exciting. I think on the front page of the Psych-K International website, it says this is a process for global evolution. And you know, when I first read that, when I was just googling Psych-K, I thought that's a mighty statement. But having really immersed myself in the Psych-K field, of course it is. As we change, we become the change. And that has that ripple effect, and more people, as you say, uploading that change into the consciousness is massive change. Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's at a really timely time in our human evolution as well, because I think more and more people are searching for that meaning and that connection, and you know, the house and the car just doesn't cut the cheese anymore, does it? So it really is coming of age, as you love to say, and I love to say that. And I think more and more people are going to be searching for this, and it's great that we can share it with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. So how's Psych-K changed your life? What are some of the things you've noticed?
Oh, wow. Wow. You know, this is an interesting question. I'm going to ask you this back. So, wow.
I almost don't remember what I used to be like.
That's what I was going to say. When we make these changes at the subconscious level of mind, they feel so automatic and natural. It's sometimes hard to say, what sort of behaviors did I used to do? And sometimes it's easier to look at what you used to do that you don't do now to see that change. Some things are obvious, you know, like fear of spiders is one that I like to use because it's so visual and immediate. So I used to be scared of spiders, and I did some change mindset around that, so that I was quite comfortable just handling them till I got them outside and in their natural habitat. And now I just don't even notice that I'm doing that. Whereas before I'd be yodeling, almost jumping up on the kitchen table and going, help. But I don't do that now. And I used to get really challenged by inanimate objects, printers and computers. If they didn't work, I'd get so frustrated. And
you're on the driveway.
Yeah, absolutely, run them over. Now I actually get the manual out, read it, plug away a little bit. So it's quite fascinating to notice your own change by the lack of what you no longer do. There's some really meaty stuff. I used to smoke, and I can't even connect with the person I was when I smoked. I can't connect with that behavior anymore. It's so gone. And that was with Psych-K that I was able to liberate myself from that habit, you know. And I tried a lot of other things. So it's really interesting to notice massive changes. Headspace, I really have so much peace in my head now. I never used to have that. I used to have a very noisy, abusive co-pilot. And I've got this beautiful quiet cheer squad that some, you know, has my back. You know, when I do something good, I almost hear myself going, yeah, oh, good, woohoo. Instead of this hammering that I used to give myself, it's vastly different experience of life than it used to be. How about you? What can you connect in with when you're asked that question?
Amazing. Yeah, all very similar. I used to take things quite personally. I used to be a people pleaser. I still always put people before me, but it's in more of a service way rather than putting myself behind them.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. The main thing I notice is just the support that's in my head rather than the fear, the worry, the doubt, the anxiety. I never really experienced anxiety to any certain degree, but we all do, because we've all got that judge in our head telling us that we're not doing it good enough, or we should be doing it better, or you need to be doing this. And, for me, it's just in my own mind, that's been the biggest shift, is just complete peace, non-attachment, allowing. I'm totally open. It's softened me so much. But where I've seen the most benefit so far has been in my personal relationships and my family life. There's just been so much healing in that space. And I know that there'll be a lot of people that come from families where there's so much challenge, you know, they're the really personal ones. We project all of our crap onto our family members, and to see that all transform and own what's going on and actually be responsible for our relationships and really nurture them and allow them to grow and to create that love, it builds those foundations for me. I feel that my foundations have been set and I'm just about to launch into this adventurous, exciting life that I don't even have any idea what's really going to happen. But I feel fully supported by the universe and myself.
Yeah, how awesome is that?
I love that you said that you gave up smoking. Was that easy?
You know, it was easy. It was it was at a health and wellness workshop. Yeah. And it was, I'm wondering if I think it was the second health and wellness workshop I did. Bit of a health and wellness workshop junkie. So, and I think it was the second one I'd done. So it was like, I really wanted to focus on one aspect of my health that I really wanted a massive shift with. So I kind of made that the running theme of the workshop for me. And I think it was only the second day that I think one of my action steps, because with Psych-K, we do the balances or the changes, but we still have to carry out conscious action, yeah? So we still have to line up all the minds. We still have to have that conscious launch pad to carry us forward. So it's not like waving a magic wand. It is, I mean, it's so easy because you've removed any resistance, but you still have to take that action. So my action step, I think, was to toss the cigarettes, you know, and I had a packet there, and you know, like this, because I have my health background, I only ever used to smoke organic cigarettes.
Look at you. You're a healthy smoker.
And you couldn't buy them everywhere, so I think I had about 5 packets with me, but in my suitcase. So anyway, I had this packet that was currently going, and I went to the bin, and I thought, no, there wasn't really a bin where we were, but there was the table of a couple other people smoking. I kind of looked at them and I said, you know what, here you go. I'm done. I think I'm done. And I think I was just as surprised as they were, because I actually meant it. Like I could feel it in my being. I was just like, I think I'm just done. That's it. And it was nothing about smoking. That the belief changes, the goal changes that I'd made were all about wanting to live a free life and wanting to be free to do what I wanted to do. And that actually just transformed the smoking. And often that's what I see in practice too, is that people will come in with something they're wanting to work on, and the beliefs that are governing that behavior actually don't look that related. They are in the subconscious mind, but when we look at it consciously, we go, really? It was about that? Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Well, one of my philosophies is that we're not necessarily around addictive behaviors, but we're never upset for the reason we think we are. The expression is not what we're truly upset about. And so I think that's what you're kind of getting at there, is that how it's coming out can be a different core.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, it was really, it was very liberating to give that up. And I still had to do the conscious actions. I think I replaced at subconscious level of mind, I replaced the desire for a cigarette with a drink of water instead. So I was drinking a lot of water those couple of weeks because I'd still habitually reach for something, and it was awesome. I just reached for the glass of water instead, and after a couple of weeks that just found its own ground. It was fine.
Yeah. I think that's the major difference that I really notice, is that when you actually choose and you make these, you choose to make a change in your life, if the voice in the back of your head is still saying, say when you said, I want to quit smoking, the voice in the back of your head says, no, you don't.
Yeah.
So for me, when you change the beliefs, the voice in your head says, I want to quit smoking. Yes, wait, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And that's at that 40 million bits per second processing speed. That's a freight train lining up behind you to give you all that momentum. Is amazing.
Okay, great. So we've talked a lot about Psych-K. So how do we learn about this? What's the format of if people actually want to learn a bit more about it?
You know, I think One of the ways, and often there are a couple of different ways, and
Actually,
whatever way resonates with the person is the best way. So, you know, hooking on to an information evening, getting onto YouTube, looking at Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief and Rob Williams' The Psychology of Change. Because they are amazing videos to give you more information about what you are able to do, you know, the power that you have residing in you.
They're the very videos I watched that changed.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be my first go-to. You know, hop on, watch the videos, because they are so good, so powerful. And it gives you an insight into the people. You know, there's on the website, on the Minds Align website, there's the interview series with Rob Williams about a whole lot of things, and it really gives you this beautiful insight into who he is as a man, which is, I think, it's valuable as well. And his beliefs around certain things, his philosophies and principles. So that, I guess, that's one thing that I'd highly recommend. Another thing that I would recommend is, come along to an info evening if you're not ready to jump in boots and all. We're running a few information evenings, or even getting onto line with something like this, so you can understand a bit more about what it's about. Phone up if you want to phone you or I know we're happy to take calls and answer any questions. Have a private session. Book in, have a private session, experience the change. You're in Perth, and you can do sessions on Skype as well. So just book in for a session. Then you get to experience the change for yourself. And then there's a workshop. The basic workshop is 3 days, pretty much all around Australia, the Perth, Adelaide, Canberra, Denmark. I'm in Denmark these days as well. You'll find, you know, if you hop onto the international site, or you'll find a workshop that you can get to for sure. 3 days, you will learn to facilitate with yourself and with others Psych-K change.
Beautiful. And it really is. Until you experience it, you can't understand what it's like to elevate your level of thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
That higher level of consciousness. What is it that makes us think that higher level? Why do we start perceiving things with oneness? And, you know, why is it so powerful?
I think we're clearing away the mud. We're clearing away the resistance that we have to moving forward. And I think it comes back to that common human experience, that we are divine beings having a human experience. And as we clear away the muck, we get more in the flow of what's real, of what our real passion and purpose in life is. And it is to connect and to collaborate and to be harmonious and to be at peace with other people. And, you know, there's an is disorder that Rob talks about, and that's the illusion of separation that we've kind of bought into. And as we keep moving forward, we're dispelling that illusion more and more. So we're finding that wholeness within ourselves, but we're also being able to see in other people the aspects of ourselves. So we're realizing that that separation is really very much an illusion.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what the new science and quantum physics is proving, that there is no separation.
Absolutely. We're all part of this greater field.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Rob talks a lot about a whole brain state. What is that? Why is that so?
Yeah, another really good question. And the whole brain state is when we're in stress, or in a state of dislike, or in a state of stress, big or small, we tend to over-identify to one hemisphere of the cerebral cortex. So we have a left and a right hemisphere, and they both govern different functions to a certain degree. You know, this isn't a lesson in neuroscience or brain theory, but it is a model of brain dominance theory. And so we have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. One governs more logic, reason, utilizes those functions, and one presides over different functions like creativity, intuition. So that's the right side, and the left side is our more logical, rational hemisphere. When we're in stress, we tend to over-identify to one hemisphere. Down the midline of the hemispheres is something called the corpus callosum, and that tends to become like a barrier when we're stressed, and prevents this crosstalk between the two hemispheres. When we're relaxed and unthreatened, we tend to be whole brain. We can access both hemispheres at the same time in response to a situation. And that's our full potential. Yeah, full response potential is when we can utilize both hemispheres at the same time. If we're only able to access one hemisphere primarily, we're at a disadvantage. We're limiting ourselves. So when we're in a whole brain state, really, we're creating a state where we're using both hemispheres at the same time in response to a situation. And this is the optimal state to use to change subconscious beliefs, because it's creating less resistance. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is actually very peaceful. You've experienced it. Yeah. It's a very peaceful state, isn't it? You know, sometimes I'll just teach a whole brain state to kids that are having a hard time in exams and stuff. So it's not teaching Psych-K, but teaching them how to gain a whole brain state is really, really important, you know.
Yeah, well, it's, as you say, with kids and exams, I know when I used to sit in exams, I'd do all the study and I'd sit there and I'd forget it all. So that's kind of what's happening there. The answers were in the other side of the brain.
Yeah, you're probably over-identifying to the right, which is your nice, creative, emotional brain, so freaking out a little bit, and then all your logic and reason that you use to study is kind of barriered. Yeah.
It really does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So what happens in a workshop? What's the format of workshops?
Oh, so workshops are an experiential workshop. We spend the first, maybe the third of the first day covering the main theory, learning a little bit about the left brain, right brain, the different conscious, subconscious, superconscious minds, what beliefs are, how they influence our lives. So we cover the theory very quickly, and then we move on into an experiential accelerated learning pattern. So we read through what we're going to do, then I'll demonstrate with one of the participants. I'll ask a participant to demonstrate with me, then we pair up and practice. I both being facilitated and being the facilitator with each thing we learn. So you learn by the end of the first day, you're already changing beliefs.
Wow.
Yeah, you've learned both the balances that we use, which are both the different processes that we use to create that change. You learn both of those in the first day. So the second day, then we learn how to create, I call it the GPS day in a way. It's really creating the destination day, learning the talk of the subconscious mind, how the subconscious mind communicates or how it perceives, and then learning how to craft a goal statement so that it meets that criteria, so that our subconscious can understand where we're wanting us to take it. So we formulate that with our conscious wisdom. We nut out what we want with our conscious wisdom. Then we harness the subconscious to that, or get that belief anchored into the subconscious mind.
Kind of like the conscious mind is a goal setter, the subconscious mind is the goal getter.
I love it. Absolutely. Going to use that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, you continue.
So yeah, that's the second day. And the third day, we really spend more time practicing, getting really confident and competent with ourself, muscle testing with other people, so that when we leave the workshop, we're really comfortable and feeling competent about what we're doing. Most of the states that I give the workshops now, there are people that are hosting practice sessions too. And you're doing practice sessions in Perth now. Yep.
I hold a practice session every month for anybody.
Awesome.
You don't have to be a facilitator. You want to learn about it, come along.
Yeah, fantastic.
Little plug for Above and Beyond Reality.
Yeah, good. Because it's awesome. It's such a gift, Alex, because when you've done the workshop, sometimes you just want to connect with other people that are doing it. You can set up practice buddy sessions so you can work with each other. It's beautiful to have someone push your arm when you're muscle testing. We all learn how to self-muscle test. That's great, because often we're by ourselves. But, if you can get someone to push your arm, that is even better, Yeah, well, it's lovely to be able to team up and practice with people.
Yeah, I certainly agree. So when you've said self-muscle testing a couple of times, so that means that we actually learn how to change our own by ourselves. We don't need somebody with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's imperative that we can change beliefs when we need to. So, sometimes if something flashes into your consciousness, you don't want to spend another 5 minutes in the old headspace. You change it there and then.
Well, you forget about it as well, don't you? You
Absolutely.
get the insight and then you say, I'll do that later. And then you
Yeah.
forget about it. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. And it's too important, you know. Yeah, it's really valuable to be able to just keep moving those roadblocks and keep clearing anything that is resisting or limiting you in this beautiful ultimate journey of really knowing yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love the term self-realization. You're fully
Yeah.
allowing yourself to express itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. I love it, Rosie. Why will you continue to do this?
Why do I continue? Because I'm an evolving being. Wow, you know, it just doesn't stop. I think I asked Rob this in an interview that we were having, and I said, "What happens when you get to the top of the mountain? What happens? There's nothing left to balance for." He laughed. He said, "Well, you know, then you start living from the top of the mountain."
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. We're
No.
still having this human experience, so we're still got staff to balance for. It just doesn't stop. When I'm giving a workshop, it is such an opportunity for growth for myself as well. It's such a gift for me. Things come up in that workshop that are a gift for me and give me the opportunity to grow myself even more. I just feel really privileged to be a part of it every time. Yeah. I can't imagine stopping. How about you? Why do you continue?
I totally agree with you. Every workshop, I mean, I'm not instructing yet, but
Yeah.
every workshop that I attend is just not only the people that I meet, but going through that change with people. And as I facilitate with people, going through that and opening up yourself to that pure vulnerable state and tuning into your true potential. It's just, I mean, it's come from a higher power than myself, and I'm just following, but I'll continue to do it because to see somebody be free of something that's troubled them for 30 years in the space of 5 minutes, it's just, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? For me, for somebody who wants to help somebody, that's just like a no-brainer for me. So
Yeah.
I'll continue to do that because the sad thing is those things that keep us stuck, they're not even real. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
And to be able to change that in minutes is just such a gift. And I really do see get Psych-K as a gift. So I'm going to, I'll continue to share because we need to know the possibilities and we need to be empowered in our own lives. And everybody needs to know that that is possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not about their idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it is a funny word, that the Psych-K word, and people kind of go, well, what is that all about? And it's, I think when you and I get so passionate about it, people go, oh, is this like a cult thing, or what is this, you know? And it's so not. There are no strings attached, you know. When you do a workshop, you're totally able to facilitate those changes with yourself and others. You don't need to go and do other workshops. You don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can, but there's not this pull-in or tie. You don't have to be a Psych-K junkie or anything like that. It is the only thing that you're asked not to do is not to teach it, because it is held in such a beautiful, pristine, integrous way. But yeah, I love that about it too. It's not. It's really a no nonsense vitality. You know, it's just a really beautiful, empowering, respectful, incredibly respectful way of helping people create change for themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's safe and free of judgments. I mean, that's one of the biggest fears is what are people going to think? I don't want people to judge me. And there is absolutely no judgment in these workshops. It doesn't matter what you experience or what you believe. It's very easy to change. And that's what I just love about it.
Yeah, and the courage in the workshops is amazing too, Alex. You know, I look back and I think I almost thank myself for the courage that I had in going to my workshop, because it is to put your hand up to create these changes. It takes that. It does take that choice, that courage of choice, that you want to create that change for yourself. And I just take my hat off to every person that does that. Is yeah, pretty awesome stuff.
It really is amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe we could finish off we could both just share an experience and an example of someone that we've worked with. And I don't need to name names or anything, but just
absolutely.
I guess the best example I can give, well, I'll give two examples. One was I didn't even actually ever meet this lady. She was just talking in a Facebook group, and she had said that she had had a home invasion, and she woke up to a burglar in her house. She has 2 young babies.
Wow.
And she was just absolutely terrified and traumatized by this. There was a couple of months before she hadn't slept very well for a couple of months. Counsellors couldn't help her, psychologists couldn't help her, medication didn't help her, all this. She was just gripped by this fear.
Yeah.
And we just had a phone call. I haven't even seen this lady.
Wow.
I didn't ask for payment for this one. It was just, I just was following an intuitive feeling. And we were sitting there on the telephone, and her daughter was playing around as well. So the circumstances were not ideal to create a good change in her life.
Yeah.
And after half an hour, we did a couple of the beautiful Psych-K processes. And that night, she said she was walking around the house in the dark, and all she could hear was that she was safe in her house. In the space of 30, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It's just
so good. It's so good.
The other one was I did some work with a lady in the Maldives, and she had a fear of flying.
Yeah.
And she had done some work with some Psych-K work with someone else, and then we continued to do some work, and she's taking flying lessons now. She flies a plane.
Wow! So she's actually going to pilot the plane as well.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, for sure. You know how much fear would be involved in that.
Yeah, it's awesome. So good. I've had similar things. Fear of heights is a big one that when people liberate themselves from that, it's just pretty amazing. I guess for me, it's relationships too. When people have come from a fairly destructive, abusive relationship, and then they'll come in, even as little as 3-4 months later, saying, "Wow, I'm just embarking on this new relationship, and it's really respectful, it's loving, I feel safe, I'm able to assert myself and speak up for myself within the relationship and listen to." So it's this respect that people find, and this new way forward that I love.
Yeah.
I love being witnessed to. I just feel so privileged being witnessed to. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest ones for me is seeing the new relationships that bud. I had a beautiful couple. There's a balance that we learn in the advanced workshop called a relationship balance. And I had a couple that were really rocky, and that they were coming in really as almost before mediation to separate. So they just wanted to get a bit clearer with themselves so they could go forward with the mediation and the separation. Well, they ended up phoning and saying, "No way, we're not separating. We've got too much to do together." That was amazing. That blew my mind. It was like, wow, okay.
How long?
That's kind of beautiful. So, yeah.
How long did that transformation take?
Oh, half an hour.
But then from her to say, "No, we're actually going to commit and we've got too much."
The balance itself took half an hour. No, I think it was about 3 or 4 days after the balance that they phoned me and said, we're hanging in there. And they're still to this day just doing beautifully, beautifully. So, and that was a good 4 or 5 years ago.
And that's the amazing thing, is it's so versatile. It works in relationships, it works in your job, it works in career is your job, but it works for performance. You want to perform better in sports or your physical abilities, everything. It's not just towards self-love or your life in general. You can make it very specific for any area in your life and achieve great success in any area that you wish, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have got that wellness background. So it really is unlimited. I can think of so many different facets of life. Career. I had one lady who we were really going to balance about her leaving her job. And we did all this balancing. And she said, "Well, actually, I'm in the job, but I've just got a promotion. I love getting there every day." Her whole perception of this job had changed. So, things don't maybe go according to what I think they might go. They go really to the highest denominator. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes these challenges are there for our good. They're not there because life hates us. They're there for us to become a better person, and then all of a sudden all these doors open, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really interesting stuff. Really.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rosie. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's always so nice. Yeah, it just feels like being in the lounge room, doesn't it, really?
Yes, it really does. But yeah, cool. So if anyone would like to learn any more, you are contactable, and your website is mindsaligned.com.au.
That's it.
My
Yeah.
website is aboveandbeyondreality.com.
Yeah.
But otherwise, contact us through Facebook or any of the appropriate channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, and yours too.